Well, it is February 20th. We're still in February, the month of love on Calming the Chaos podcast. And for today, I am going to be doing something I love to do, which is watching the Love Connection. And I'm going to be doing a reaction video to the Love Connection. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Love Connection as a show, it usually involves one guest that is on the couch with either Chuck Woolery or this other dude that was on later on in the 90s. So this was in the 90s that this show aired. And it was a funny show. They try to make it lighthearted. And then this person who was on the couch, either male or female, was going to be picking an opposite gender, opposite sex date to go out on based on a little video that they did. So if we had a male on the couch, there were 3 female, they would get to look at the video. And then to make it even more complicated, the audience would be voting about which one they thought that the person on the couch should pick. And then they go out on a date and they come back and they report out about what went wrong, what went right, all of that stuff. And then to see if they could get another date with that person, if it matched up with what the audience had said. The percentages had to be the highest percentage, right? So we don't know the percentage about the audience until the very end. This one we're going to take a look at today involves a male on the couch with the host, and there's 3 females. And what I'm going to do in my reaction is I'm going to comment on some of the psychological aspects of the encounters and also some of the psychological stuff that comes up with any of the people that are on the screen. Any red flags that I see, both on the date or on the couch or in between anywhere. I'm also going to put my comments out there about do's and don'ts. And this is just my opinion, so don't take it as any advice that you need to go out and do. But in my opinion, do's and don'ts, and this is based on my own personal experience and then professionally for over 20 years working with people. So let's begin. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and we're going to start watching some Love Connection. Isn't this exciting?
Another great audience. Let's get started by meeting our first guest. He likes to write songs for his dates. He claims that he's turned on by laundromats, and he thinks of himself as a 70s guy stuck in a world of 90s women. Please welcome Gregoy Sisel. Hey, Greg. How are you, buddy? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, sir. All right.
Okay, I forgot to mention this before, but this guy that just sat down on the couch, he goes by the name of Gregoy Sisel on the show, but he has a YouTube channel called Gregory Valens Love, and I'll go ahead and put on the banners here, the ticker, that this is him, Valens Love, and also his YouTube channel if you want to check out these 2 episodes. He's done 2 of them, and this is the first of the 2. It is at Valens Love. You can find him and go to his YouTube channel to find out more. So let's watch a little bit more Love Connection.
That was embarrassing. Before the show, we had on the same outfit. I had to run and change. You're a 70s guy?
Yeah, I consider myself very affected by a certain period of time which there was sort of, free love, free music, free sex.
Yeah.
And there was a brief period in time where it was a utopia that I try and capture that essence of time within the way I look at things.
And what's your problem with 90s women, Greg?
I find that a lot of 90s women are very aggressive. It seems sometimes they're a bit more serious. A little too aggressive, a little too serious sometimes. I think the women who dance and get out on the floor and worry too much about their lipstick and things like that.
Right. And you just think it's all about dance, man.
It's all about dance. Freedom through dance.
Right.
Freedom through dance.
Let's take a look at the women that Greg had to choose from.
Okay, so just a couple of notes on Greg here. He looks extremely confident, which means to me he's rather confident, showing off his chest hairs, showing off his medallions, and acting kind of a little bit on the cocky side, which makes me think he might be a little insecure about himself and just putting on an act. I don't know. That's my impression that I got from him. But he is adorable and he's got really good taste in clothes. I think that maybe that would be a red flag, though, is when you're just ultra like cocky and judgmental of 90s women. Not all 90s women are like what he described. I was a 90s woman and I was not like that. So I'm sure there's plenty of others of us that were not like that either. But I just wanted to add that. And that was my general impression of Gregoy. I'm going to call him Gregoy from now on. And then we'll see the women that he gets to choose from right now.
Let's take a look at the women that Greg had to choose from. Remember, you guys are going to pick the woman that you think is best for him. First, it was Leah. She was raised in Orlando. She says that she's looking for a dark-haired man who will treat her like a princess. Leah claims that she likes surprises. Here's more on that.
My ex-boyfriend, actually, for the first, he was always full of surprises. And his first surprise was that he was a stripper, and he made me sit down and watch him strip. And it was I wanted to run out, but it was fun. Turned out to be a very exciting relationship.
All right, so there's number one. She likes surprises, and that's the psychological insight. She also seemed to be into the stripping thing and, kind of liked it. So that's not a red flag or anything. I didn't see any red flags. She looks like a perfectly nice girl. The only thing I would have to say is that she did mention her ex on the audition video. So I wonder why she would do that. That could be a red flag if you talk about your ex, but we'll go along and see about the second one.
And next there was Naomi. She works in a laundromat. She moved here from Tucson, Arizona. She usually dates about 3 times a month. And when she's alone, she likes to write poetry and play with her dogs. Here's more from Naomi.
I don't like people who care what other people think. I don't like it. Like if I'm in a restaurant and like, let's say I'm like laughing really loud or we're talking about something, or I just get up in the middle of it, everything and start dancing or, whatever. We're walking down the hall of, I like to do stuff that's kind of out of the blue, like spontaneous.
All right. Finally, there's Tracy.
All right, so Naomi, yeah, psychological impressions. She looked like she was a little nervous, but she was saying she doesn't care what people think about her. That was kind of what I saw when I saw her, but I really like her, and she looks like she'd be a great match for this guy. She's kind of out of the 60s. He's out of the 70s. She's spontaneous. She doesn't care. She dances, though, so Gregoy may have a judgment about that because he doesn't like 90s women. She is wearing like a tie-dyed shirt, so she may not be that kind of a 90s woman. I don't think there are any red flags about her at all. And she likes laundromats. So that would be like maybe a green flag, I would think, for Gregoy. And just do's and don'ts as far as that goes with her. Just be yourself. Do be yourself. So on the first one, I said, don't mention your ex. Then the second one, I say, do be yourself. So let's go on to number 3.
Teresa. She was born in Bangkok. She dates about twice a month, and she only rates herself a 6. She's looking for a guy who loves kids, animals, and amusement parks. Teresa tells us why she doesn't like it when dates bring her candy and flowers.
Box of chocolates and flowers. No, I mean, flowers are going to die, and the candies are going to make you fat. So either or, but I mean, if he brings like a 6-pack of beer and Austin Powers, yeah, let's watch a movie.
Okay, so this number 3, I'm not sure. I like her a lot. She looked a little bit cocky. And then she also said that chocolate makes you fat. And that is absolutely not true. And so I actually didn't like her. She rubbed me the wrong way. There's something about her energy and her judgments about chocolate makes you fat. And I would say, if I wanted to say a do or don't be judgmental of either chocolate or people. And in general, I think that tends to work pretty well in relationships. So I'm pausing here and wondering who you think Gregoy should go out with. The audience is going to vote, and then we're going to hear about his date.
All right, guys, those are the 3 women that Greg had to choose from. It's time for you guys to vote. Make your choice. All right, the votes are in. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll meet the woman Greg selected and hear all about their date. Come on back. You don't want to miss this. All right, we're back. We're talking to Greg. Greg, why don't you tell us who you selected?
I picked Leah, Pat.
Leah. Okay, good. There she is. Let's say hello to Leah Feldman. Hi, Leah.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Greg.
Thanks for being with us. Tell us about your date, Greg.
Well, I spoke with her on the phone before the date, obviously, and talked about what time I was going to meet her. It was kind of weird because I knew what she looked like, and she got a little weird because she didn't know what I looked like. So I went to pick her up, opened the door, our eyes meet, and her face drops.
Yeah.
I could tell right then and there
Right.
that I hadn't met her expectations. I think I was a little freaky. I think it kind of freaked her out a little bit.
All right. Now, what did you think of his looks, Leah, when he showed up?
Well, I'm just used to going out with guys that are a little bigger. I mean, bigger this way. He was kind of scrawny. He was really scrawny. He was really wild and crazy looking. It's just not my cup of tea at all.
Okay, let me stop it right there. Okay. Well, so there's Leah and Greg and their first meeting. And I would have to say, yeah, a red flag there for Gregoy is seeing that face drop, right? And then also just hearing her say that about scrawny body judgment there again. Like, I'm used to bigger guys. Like, what the heck? Okay, Leah, I'm not liking you too much right now because of your judgments. I would have to say that if I were to say do or don't, I would say don't drop your face on the date, and please try not to judge the person right away because you never know what their personality is going to be like on the date. They could have had so much fun. The energy could have been so much more different, but it looks like she had a preconceived notion about him. And so let's see how their date turned out.
So just physically, you thought he'd be bigger. Okay. So then what happened, Greg?
Okay. So we get in the car, and I could tell her expectations weren't rising or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing else was rising either. So I decided, she said, why don't we go for coffee and split the money? I've got bills to pay.
Oh,
No,
wow.
no, that's not what I said. He's lying. I can't believe this. No, he wanted to go to a reggae club. And I already told him on the phone that I really wasn't into reggae. And he insisted on going. And I was just like, well, you're being kind of selfish.
She, I obviously mentioned the word reggae, and she was like, reggae?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I had to, have to kind of do this. My friend's band's playing. So we get to the club. A lot of my friends were there. A few.
Right.
A
well,
lot? There were
few
10
friends.
of his friends there. I was like, what, Greg? You want me to introduce you to your mom and dad, too? I mean, what's going on here?
Oh my goodness. This is just too funny. Okay, so she doesn't want to go to the reggae bar, and yet this is what I find curious about Gregoy is that he scheduled her in because a buddy was playing at a reggae bar and he wanted to just kind of weasel her in. I get a big red flag about that. Like, we're supposed to be going on a date, dude, just like the two of us. And it's supposed to be a love connection, right? And first off, she said she didn't want to go to reggae bar. Why couldn't you have negotiated? I would have said that was a big do, and a big don't would have been to not listen to her. And I guess he took her there anyway. She must have complied, or maybe he had the car, or she was obligated. But yeah, wow. I do have to go back to when Gregoy said something like, I could tell her expectations weren't rising, but nothing was rising with me either. And that was a little jab. Of course, he didn't say that out loud to her on the date, so I give him credit for that. But he did say it as a little jab on the screen. So you could tell this guy could be pretty feisty if he wanted to. And then, yeah, when someone also with Leah, she could have actually been kind of open to the reggae experience too. And the energy could have been way, way different on their date. So I'm just saying that if you judge somebody's ideas or judge somebody, you put your opinion out there, go with an open mind, be flexible. Those are definitely do's. Negotiate, go with an open mind, and tell your ideas to your date. And let's let the date roll on, shall we?
All right, so I tried to make her feel included with the friends by giving her a brief profile of each friend and sort of including her in the conversations, but it didn't help.
She wasn't responding to that at all?
No.
So you get to the club and all your friends are there, so it's not real cool. So then what happened, Greg?
Well, I take her to the back where we can be alone. Nice, small, candle-lit table. I start asking her questions about herself to sort of get the feel for who she is and see if we can just maybe get something happening.
No, I was asking
Trigger
all the
something.
questions, Greg. I was trying to get the ball rolling, and you were just like, ugh, all zoning out. I was like, ugh,
What kind of things? What kind of things had you been talking about?
She starts talking about her ex-boyfriend. And his aspirations to be a porn star.
Right.
Girl, really? Oh my goodness. That is a big red flag and a big no. Do not talk about your ex and his aspirations for being a porn star on your first date with this guy. No. I could see why Meg could be turned off by that and her mentioning her ex on the first date and his aspirations. It just seems like her head was somewhere else, and his probably was too. You know, sometimes you just don't click. I would say a definite don't talk about your ex, but do be willing to make the best of your date, no matter what you do, and try and listen, I guess, is a do. And yeah, don't share her with your friends first. If I already haven't said that, please don't do that. Just make it about the two of you first and all that stuff. So let's see how the date ends, and then we'll close this part out, and I will go on to the next part in a separate video. All right.
All right. Now, why bring up your old
going out with
boyfriend?
guys that are a little bigger.
But on a date, Leah, why would you bring up an old boyfriend like that?
Well, I just didn't want him to know that I was interested in him at all, because I wasn't. He was just a little too crazy for me.
All right. So she brought up the old boyfriend. Conversation's a little strained. What happened next, Greg?
Okay, so then, you know, we try to get out and dance. It doesn't happen, nothing like that. So she's like, why don't we go to a karaoke bar? And I was like, you know, I've never karaoke in my life, but I figured, well, you know, maybe it's time to give her a little piece of the show. But there were no karaoke bars open, so we decided to go to a diner.
Right.
This ended up being the diner from hell. Just bad service. I mean, just the worst service you could possibly imagine.
Unbelievable.
Bad food, like, ugh.
Hey, guys, you're agreeing on something.
So,
a bad diner.
Horrible. It was unbelievable.
Just tell me how the date ended.
well, I took her home, walked her to her door, gave her a quick hug goodbye, and that was it.
All right, so just kind of told. Yeah. Well, I think we should take a look and see how the audience voted.
So before we hear about what the audience did, I want to just recap on the rest of that date. And yeah, he was willing. I would say do be willing to go to the karaoke bar. Yeah, it wasn't open. He'd never done it before, but I have to give Greggy kudos for being willing and open-minded to go to a karaoke bar. And, you know, so I guess do be willing to do something new or maybe out of your comfort zone. And then I think a really good thing is that they went to this really lousy diner, but they made the most of it. And they agreed that they were, you know, not having a great time. So a red flag could have been the quick hug and go on the way home. Like, it sounds like she didn't even want the date to continue. So maybe it wasn't a red flag. But if you do get a quick hug and somebody just leaves right away, that is a red flag that they probably aren't that into you. And she was not into him and doesn't look like he was into her. So it was a pretty good outcome. And let's see how the audience voted and what Greggy decides to do with that outcome.
Oh, wow. Look at that. That's rough. Leah only got 2% of our audience's vote, but 86% of our audience thinks Naomi is the girl for you, Greg. If you would like to go out with Naomi, we'd be happy to pay for it.
I'd like to go for Naomi.
All right, good, Greg. We'll set that up. Leah, I thank you very much for being with us. I'm sorry things didn't
Thanks,
work
sir.
out.
Okay.
All right, check back with
Thank
us
you.
again sometime. Greg, thanks very much. You go out
Thank
on
you
your date,
very
come
much.
back and tell us all about it. all
Okay,
right?
I will.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with more after this.
All right. Well, so that is the first date of Gregory. And so let's see what happens with him and Naomi. We'll do another video about that. In the meantime, everybody just take care. And aren't we just having loads of fun? I'll go ahead and put all of my perspectives and my red flags and my do's and don'ts in the show notes so that you can look at them. Hopefully you'll use these in helping you to find that love connection that you truly want and will be the best thing for you. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to Calming the Chaos podcast. If you found this podcast interesting or helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can also go to www.calmingthechaospodcast.com to listen to all Calming the Chaos podcast episodes. I look forward to sharing my next podcast episode with you. In the meantime, take care. Howl at the moon or something like that.